Okay, welcome back to Storm in a Teacup, the podcast. I'm joined again by Sam.
I am Sam.
He is Sam. And yeah, we're back to give you our weekly update on what we've been up to and what we've got to talk about, really.
Oh yeah, just jumping straight into it. We've come up with a name actually for this
No, no, no,
segment.
no, no. I'm giving the credit to you. You came up with the name, I just
Okay,
agreed with it.
I came up with a name. To be fair, I probably saw this on like a YouTube video and just kind of stole it. But we've decided to call it the weekly teacup,
We have.
because we love our puns. So
You know what's funny? Last episode you had a cup of tea, didn't you?
coffee.
Coffee, that's it. So me and Sam have been setting up this podcast for the past, I want to say, about half an hour to an hour.
Yeah, just a
Um,
little while.
I had a coffee and I finished it. I finished it in that time, so I'm back to my water. Um,
So yeah, we've brought this subject first as opposed to it being the last thing we spoke about like it was last time.
yeah,
But we decided like when you're meeting up with a friend, pretty much the first thing you talk about is like what you've been up to. So it just made sense to bring it all the way to the front as opposed to have it as the very last thing we talk about.
yeah. I think as well. Like we both kind of agreed that we. I mean, as you can tell by the last episode, I go on tangents a lot, and Sam does. He tries to hide it, but Sam does as well. Um,
No.
so having the weekly TCAP at the start, we can use the subjects we speak about there to branch into what we're going to speak about in the podcast.
And we can probably just go back and like reference them as
Yeah,
well if it
but
comes up in conversation.
exactly, because like we're gonna have our TCAP, and then like there's gonna be stuff that I'm gonna bring up in the start, and we're not exactly gonna just stop the TCAP and talk about that subject. We'll just
Yeah.
keep referring back to it, innit? Yeah. So do you wanna go first with your TCAP, or shall I? Or
I think I went first last time,
yeah.
so maybe we go you first. Oh, I
Oh,
don't know.
okay, that's fine. So
Oh, just going into this, by the way, I don't know any of this, so
yeah, I was
this
gonna
is all
say,
new to me.
so me and Sam both agreed that we, unless it's like big. I mean, not gonna lie, some of the stuff I have to say is like pretty big and urgent. But
And I
unless,
still don't know it.
yeah, unless it's like something that I need to tell Sam, so maybe something happened. I just need someone to speak to, so I'll speak to Sam. We're not telling each other what we're doing during the week. Um,
But yeah,
oh
because we just want it to be a bit more candid and like
yeah,
an actual conversation as opposed to something that's like overly scripted and rehearsed. So
yeah, and just let everyone know as well. Even though both me and Sam are recording video, I can't see Sam and Sam can't see me. Um,
yeah, no, but that's only a thing we saw out after the podcast started.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be pretty interested to see Sam's reactions to some of the stuff that
Oh
I
gosh.
had to say. I'm actually just scrolling through our conversation just to make sure that I don't miss anything
Okay.
that's happened.
Well, I'm
Um,
scared now.
I see. I do have something big, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of leave that towards the end.
Yeah, like a
Uh,
finale kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just to let everyone know as well. So the way me and Sam record these is we record them on the Friday eveningish time. So if something does happen between Friday and the Sunday upload that we don't cover, it is because we record on the Friday, edit on the Saturday, and upload for the Sunday. So
Yeah, so we'll just cover it in the next week,
yeah,
pretty much.
exactly. It's a Friday to Friday week essentially.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
So yeah, I think you should go into your stuff. I think
yeah,
we've spoken enough.
I'll start off with something that it kind of it didn't annoy me because I understand,
Okay.
but it annoyed a lot of the people around me that found out about it. So I don't know if I mentioned it. I've upgraded the video quality. I'm using my camera to record, so I'm kind of still working between what I do. I look at my laptop or my camera.
Yeah, he only
Uh,
clued me. He only clued me into that like before we started recording.
yeah,
So
yeah, I'm a visuals man. I got up the visuals.
excuse the jump in quality between me and him.
Um, but so yeah, I can't remember whether I covered it in the last podcast or not.
I'll tell you if you did.
I went for a job interview for a camera operator role.
I think you
Um,
did.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. So I had that interview on the Wednesday this week.
Okay, so
Yeah. So
how'd it go, or is that what you're gonna cover?
that's what I'm gonna cover now.
Awesome.
So before, when did big man like Boris do his speech? Was it Monday? Monday at
Which one about banning people from
Parks?
pubs and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. No, about I'll be able to pull it up because someone mentioned it to me. Um,
I'm
because
not
that
100.
is
Percent It wasn't. It wasn't a week ago. I
it.
know that much.
It
It's more
was
recent than that.
yeah, it was early this week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm finding it in this chat. Here we go. Where is it? Because someone's basically one of the jobs that I went for. There we go. So that was on Monday. So yeah, Monday he mentioned it. I think because I've spoken about it, I might as well bring it up. Um, Obviously we spoke a fair bit about the issue that we're having in terms of health at the moment. Again, we can't exactly use it by name because YouTube doesn't like it, but the Budweiser bug, as I've been calling it,
Or
uh,
Peroni flu,
the
as I was
the
calling
the,
it last
the
episode.
Peroni flu, the UK has now got to a point where a lot more stricter rules have come in. We're not on lockdown. A lot of people are saying we're on lockdown. We're not on lockdown because curfews haven't been set yet. But they've basically enforced rules and regulations where you can only work if you're a key worker, so that's someone that's working in healthcare or someone that's working in a supermarket or someone that's providing some sort of food
Yeah.
or medicine. You can only go to those jobs or go to a job if you cannot work from home and it is essential. So for that job interview I had, they're still working there because
Okay.
they can't work from home. It's a studio. They have cameras there. They need people manning the cameras, and the people that are working there because they need the money. So that there's that. The other regulation is that you're allowed out once a day for I think it's something like around an hour, either by yourself or with people within your household to do exercise. And that's a big one because I have. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to see if my camera's jittering. No, it's fine. I have a park round the corner from mine, and there's a police van that is parked out there every day now, monitoring the people that are in the park to see who's been there too long, who's having too much
Wow.
of a big social. Yeah, I mean, a video that came up in my Facebook the other day was in London in one of the parks. There was police officers that were having to tell people to go home because they were sunbathing because it's good
Yeah, I
weather.
think I saw that. They were
Yeah,
saying it's not a holiday and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I saw. Um, there was there was some other stuff, some other regulations, but the main ones basically were you're allowed outside once for exercise a day, only work if you're a key worker. Supermarkets have become a lot more stricter now. Only a certain amount of people are allowed in at a time at supermarkets, and they
Jeez.
highly recommend using card or contactless. Like me and Harriet had to queue up outside Morrison's the other day, and it wasn't because there was, but obviously there was a line of people, but it wasn't because the store was packed. It was because they were only letting a certain amount of people into the store at once.
Yeah.
So leading back to the whole,
Talking of tangents.
yeah, no, to be fair, it does link.
Yeah, it's relevant.
So,
Yeah.
the interview that I went for, it wasn't actually like an interview per se. I already had an interview with the company over Skype, and they are my job at the university got suspended because of the Peroni flu. So I no longer have a notice period. So I let the guys know. Um, excuse me. They said cool. How about you come in and take a look at the studio, and we can take like the next step forward. Um, so the studio's in Redditch. So I travelled from Wolverhampton to Redditch. It took me about an hour. Luckily I got a lift, but because Hat said there's no way I'm taking public transport.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's stupid.
Exactly. So I got a lift there, luckily. And I got there. I got there mega early, like 40 minutes early, because the roads were so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Got there, waited outside the studio because the person I was meant to be meeting was actually like working in the studio.
Oh, okay.
Was there for about, I want to say, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then one of the guys came down to speak to me, and the first thing he said to me was, "Hi, this is a bit awkward." And I
Oh
knew from there
no.
it was bad news. I emailed them on the Tuesday. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I went on the Wednesday. We had the announcement on the Monday evening, so I emailed them Tuesday just to ask, like, guys, is it still cool for me to come tomorrow to see the studios and speak to you? I didn't get an email back, so I just
Mm.
presumed. Um,
Yeah,
I
because
didn't
you
want
thought that
to.
if they replied, then there would have been a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because they wanted me to come in for a physical interview the first time, but we had to do it
Mm.
over FaceTime.
Yeah.
They let me know about that. They have my number. They rang me on FaceTime. I was going to ring the number, but I thought I don't want to bother them because this is a 24-hour channel.
Yeah.
I don't know whether their phone's on loud and they're on air and their camera
Jeez. Yeah.
opping and their phone goes off. So went there, turns around to me. He goes, "Wow, this is awkward." Um, Essentially, the studio runs three different channels.
Okay.
Because of the new regulations, they shut down two of the channels and just run the one channel now.
Mm.
So the people from the two other channels were now working for that one channel, so they weren't understaffed.
Okay.
So he turned around to me and said, he explained that to me, and he was like, "So basically, we can't offer you anything at this moment in time. We still we still want you on board. We still would really like to have you in the team. We've obviously had someone leave, and once the channels are back up and running, we're going to need someone to take their place. So we'll contact you in the next 3 to 4 weeks,
Okay. That's
hopefully
not
when
so bad
this is
then.
blown over."
Okay, that's not so bad then.
It's not so bad. But he
Yeah.
was I hope this wasn't a long journey. I'm sorry to waste your time. And I was just thinking, oh, you could have gave me a call. You
Yeah.
could have emailed me.
Yeah.
Right.
God, that sucks, man. That's
Oh,
rough. That's rough.
it was. I mean, I'm still holding out hope. Like, I get it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other jobs that I've applied for, I've been telling people, like, because people have been asking me how's the job hunt going. Loads of companies just the same thing over and over again. Really sorry, but we can't move forward with any applications because of the state of the UK at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's very much hit and miss. Um,
See, it sucks because we've had like no experience of this before. There's not exactly like a game plan that we can follow. We don't think like, oh yeah, this will blow over in a month. Let's apply for jobs now. Deal with that after the month because we don't know what's going to happen. So
exactly it is. It's a very uneasy time.
confusing time.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Jeez.
I'll do some like more happy, upbeat. Um, Last week this happened. Sam
Great.
came over to mine.
Woo!
We were
Party, party.
just not long um before. Well, there's been two announcements. The one that we told you about from the minister about the prime minister, the minister's announcement saying about
Yeah.
the 1 hour exercise and stuff like that. The
Mhm.
announcement before that actually came when Sam was at mine, and it was basically saying to try and eliminate social gatherings, which wasn't the best because there
We
was
were in a social
social
gathering.
gathering. They closed all pubs and all restaurants and clubs and stuff like that. We were planning to go to the pub possibly, but it closed, so we just stayed in. But yeah, um, Sam was at mine. It was cool. We played board games. We played the Nintendo Wii, and I smacked him at basketball.
Oh, in real life.
In real life,
Yeah,
yes.
not Wii basketball or anything.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
think that makes it even more embarrassing, so I shouldn't have mentioned that.
yeah. We went
Damn
to
it.
the park around the corner from mine because where where I used to live, there was a basketball court not too far from there. Me and Sam played there before. Um, and there's two basketball courts down by where I live now. Excuse me. That coffee has brought up some gas, bro. that yeah. So there's a couple basketball courts down by mine. So we went to one, and we had a play around. Also, again, you know what? I'm gonna do this like a sandwich. I'm gonna go for the bad news first. I'm gonna go two pieces of happy news, and then I'm gonna
Oh,
go for
okay.
the ultimate news at the end. Um, so it was Mother's Day over the weekend on the Sunday that we uploaded. It was Mothering Sunday.
Yeah.
And me, Sam, and Hat did something like pretty sweet. I like to think. I keep looking at my laptop, expecting to see you like nodding about when you just sit there. We did some sweet stuff. We went shopping and we brought our mothers flowers and
Yeah.
cards and chocolates and all sorts, but mainly flowers. Um, what did what did make me laugh was we were in the store and Sam picked up this potted plant, this potted flower because he
Yeah.
didn't want to get cut flowers because I'll let you explain that actually if you don't mind.
Um, why I wanted a potted plant?
Yeah, yeah,
Just because I thought it was best to get something that would last a little bit of a while as opposed to something that would die after a few weeks.
yeah.
So
Because Sam asked like me and Hat like how long do these usually last, and I told him I may not look like it, but I'm a big floral guy. Like I like my flowers.
yeah.
So Sam got this really nice potted flower. Me and Hat got a couple cut flowers for our mothers, and Sam scanned his, and while Sam was getting his scanned by the cashier, and the cashier started asking like some questions about it, and me and Hat were answering them. Um, like he was asking how long it would last, and I said like with the right care it could last for like a very long time, and stuff like that. And the last thing he asked me was like, I'm gonna ask you this now, and it's gonna make it seem like you work here more than I do. He was like, where are they? And I was like, they're in a metal basket just by that till over there. And he turned around to me and Hat and he was like, would one of you mind going and grabbing one for me to keep round here for my mum? And Hat was like, sure. So Hat went round, grabbed one, and grabbed one for her nan. I got something sweet to tell you actually in a second, Sam. Grab,
Okay.
grab one for her nan. And he scanned it through. He took his, put it behind him, and then he scanned Hat's through. And how much did yours cost, Sam?
Uh, £10 I think,
So
£9.99.
it was about £10 for these potted plants, and he gave it to me and Hat for £1. Because we went round and grabbed it for him. He was like, "Here you go, I'll give you some discount." It was £1 4 pence, and he said it was because anything below £1, you'd have to get managerial approval. So he just added that we got a bag, and
Oh, okay.
we got it for £1 4 pence.
Speaking of, I am gonna give you that money right now
Oh, cheers.
because I was meant to and I forgot.
Oh,
So
oh,
I'm just gonna transfer that now.
Charlie getting it's payday for me. I got my last I got my last payment from my uni job today.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got my last lot of money from them. Um, oh, I'm just looking at my camera just to let everyone know. I don't know how long this camera records for. I think it's half an hour each section, so there might be some technical difficulties where Charlie just has to like go to his camera and turn it off, turn it back on again. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Um, oh, the sweet thing that I was gonna tell you, Sam, was we went over to Hat's grandparents to give her nan the potted flower, and Hat brought it into her nan, and her nan cried.
Oh,
Yeah, she was like, that's really sweet, and honestly, bro, her nan is adorable. I love her nan to bits. Like,
that's precious.
yeah, honestly, it was super cute. I'm looking at the audio levels on my mic, and it's looking a bit shaky. It's looking a bit wavy. I'm hoping that it's actually picking all of this up. I hope.
You'd hope so in a podcast.
I
That's
mean,
kind of the important thing, the
to
audio.
be fair, like there is audio going to my camera, and I might be able to polish that off if there is any technical difficulties. But you know what? Again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's editor Charlie's job. Um, so the last bit of news, and this is the big one. Um, how do I start this?
That money's just gone through, by the way.
Yeah, I've got it. Cheers, you're an absolute star. Um, ha,
I'm scared, man.
not as much as I am. Um,
No, I'm really scared.
yeah. So, you know, we've been speaking loads about having to like stay inside and the importance of staying inside and social distancing and stuff like that, and about this Budweiser bug. Um, bro, my aunt got it.
Ah, I know I said I wouldn't lean back, but that
Yeah. Um,
I'm speechless. Jesus.
we'll delve into this a bit more in like a upcoming podcast, but brief intro into my background. My mom's Indian and Kenyan, and in Indian families, anyone that's related to you is your aunt or uncle, unless otherwise. So my mom's cousin, who we're insanely close with, who lives with her son and her elderly mother, has contracted the virus.
So what's she doing now?
She's having to self isolate. She's just stuck in her room in the house. I don't know what's going on with her mom or her son. I think they might be staying somewhere else, but yeah, she's just quarantined to her house.
God.
Yeah, I mean, there's a heart condition that runs in my family as well. That my older brother, my mom, and my younger brother have, and other members of my family have got. Luckily,
Not you.
yeah,
That's probably worth a mention.
yeah, I was about to say. Luckily, I haven't got it, but it means that my mom and my brothers are high risk people, so I haven't been able to really go over and like see them and excuse me, God, I can't stop burping today. To go over and like speak to them properly about it, but yeah, my mom's cousin or my auntie or my mossy is has contracted the virus.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Does she have the condition or?
I'm honestly not too sure. I'm trying to think about it now, but I don't think she does. As far as
That's
I know, I
good then,
don't.
at least.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't really know what's going on at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it was bound to happen to one of us, and yeah, Charlie just I got it first. You know, I'm gonna end it on a light note because I've just remembered. Um,
Okay,
I,
that's good.
I found out because I did go to visit my mom with Hat on Mother's Day to give her the flowers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of the devil, my mom's trying to call. I will give her a call. That's gonna pop up on the audio of this.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's leave it in.
Yeah, we'll leave it on.
Uncut, unfiltered.
Marge, I call my mom Marge for anyone wondering. Marge, if anyone shows you this podcast, which I doubt they will, I will call you back. I promise. Give me how long we are 25 minutes in. Give me half an hour. I will call you back. But yeah, so we went to Marge's, and before we went, me and Hat took a trip to Asda, and tell me why we were in the freeze. I'm trying to be healthy. Okay, I'm drinking water every day. I'm exercising every day for my full hour that I can, doing loads of cardio to lose my belly fat. Tell me why.
What belly fat?
Bro, I'm fat. One of the store assistants turns around to me and Hat as we're looking at frozen fruit, or no, we were looking at ice loaves. I'm pretty sure some like orange ice loaves,
Yeah.
and he shows us this big chocolate gatto, serves 18 people, and he's like, "Oh yeah, if you not fancy a gatto, this is 25p."
Whoa.
It was from Christmas. It's still good till Christmas this year, so like 2020.
Jesus.
Me and Hat didn't believe him, so we took it to. We got a gatto for 25p, and bro, it's amazing.
Well, how big is it? Because it says 18 people, but you know what serving sizes are like.
It wouldn't.
When the slices are like this.
You know what? Like, if you had a thin slice, because we've cut it into quarters, then we've cut
Yeah.
those quarters in half, and you can cut those halves into half again, so it should serve 16 people a slice each, and that slice would still be like a fairly decent slice.
Wow.
Like, it is a wham cake, and it is very, very good.
All for 25p as well.
25 pennies, 25 great British pennies.
That's insane.
Yes, but that is my week.
Weekly teacup.
Yeah, that's my weekly teacup done as far as I can think of. Yeah, that's it. I've exercised. I'm drinking water. That's it.
Well, you kind of stole one of mine because I was going to mention going to yours.
I was about to say, don't tell me someone in your family has got the virus.
No. But probably a good footnote for the basketball story is when I hit the greatest shot that's ever been seen in a game of basketball.
My lord.
So basically, I was quite a distance away from the hoop, and then I like flicked the ball up with my legs, and like not looking at the basket, I'm not sure what other word I can use than yeeted.
So the way that I describe it is, you rainbow flicked the ball, kind of. It didn't go completely over your head, but you rainbow flicked it to the point where it was up.
Yeah, it just kind of went straight up.
Yeah. You then had your back to the basket at an angle. You bounced the ball with your hand, and then you sky hooked it over your head backwards into the basket.
Yeah.
From range.
That went to my head. I'm not gonna lie. I took a bit of a victory lap when that went in. So that's that said. Something I know you've done this week actually, which we can talk about, is the new Childish Gambino album. What is it? 3:15:20.
Yes,
That's what it's called.
Yes, it is.
I guess because I brought it up, I'll mention my opinion on it. Not a fan.
Are you not?
Like, at all. The best way I can think to describe it is just like noise, basically. Feels Like Summer was in it, which is a good song, but that was released before the album came out. And I don't know if he's just like rushed this one out because of the situation of the earth right now. But yeah, no, it was just noise, and I was really disappointed by it, personally.
Quick background for anyone that doesn't know. This album, I don't know how to describe it other than it got leaked, but there's debate on whether it was purposely leaked by Gambino or whether it was like leaked by accident. Gambino had a website, and the full album was up there for about an hour a couple of days before it came out, and I missed it.
What's weird though is that it's called 3:15:20, but I swear it only came out a few days ago. So it came out on like the 21st or something like that, 22nd.
I might.
So I don't know why it got that title.
I might be able to check for you. Actually.
Unless that's when it was leaked or whatever, because then the title would make sense.
I think what was the 15th? The 15th was a Sunday, and I do vaguely remember it. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it did get leaked on a Sunday, which, like you said, would make sense. My opinion on it, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've only listened to it in the car with Hat. I haven't had a chance to fully sit down and like immerse myself in the album. Give me 2 seconds.
Is the camera gone off?
My camera's just gone off, so I'm gonna go sort that out.
Well, I'll keep the conversation going if you want.
Go for it. Yeah, you might hear me like rummaging about.
I don't know if it was like an artistic choice or because, like I said, it was kind of like rushed because of the climate or whatever. But like none of the songs have titles except. No, I think none of the songs have titles. And I think the title of the song is where is the timestamp it starts in like the total runtime. So
Yes.
say a song's 3 minutes long. Uh, the song before a song that plays is 3 minutes long. This is a really crap explanation. Um, the song after would be called like three
Well,
minutes
I've
because
got
that's how long the previous song was.
I've got it up now. So on Apple Music, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It should be the same for everywhere, but
I'll look on Spotify right now.
it go number one is 0.00. Number two is algorithm. Number three is time, and number four is where it starts. So it goes 12.38, then 19.10, then 24.19, 32.22, 35.31, 39.28, 42.26, 47.48, 59.49. And that's it. So he has two songs.
59.
53.49.
Yeah, I was gonna
Sorry.
say then it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, See, the songs are like super long though. Just looking
Oh,
at this,
that
one
that
of them's 7 minutes 59.
that's what I
Like,
was gonna say. Like the thing that I got from it was the songs were long on this one.
yeah,
Um, from what I've heard of it, I I'm a I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I've got to admit, I am a fan of the album. I do kind of like from what I've heard of it. I can't remember what song it was. I think it might have been Algorithm or it might have been one of the timestamped one. But me
yeah.
and Hat were in the car on the way back from somewhere and we were just vibing. Like it was perfect road trip music. Like it was really nice. But again, I mean, I've got the Sonos speaker or Sonos or whatever you want to call it speaker in the lounge. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go stick it on tomorrow while I'm editing this, and I'm gonna immerse myself in it because I am a big Gambino fan. For anyone that doesn't know, I will sell my liver, my kidneys, whatever it takes to see that man live. Honestly,
See,
like
what both annoys me and like fascinates me about Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, whatever you want to call him, is the fact that like no album is like the same as the previous one. Like he's experimenting all the time.
yeah,
But the problem with that is that there isn't like a Childish Gambino sound. So like
yeah,
one really good song that he has, take This Is America for example. Nothing else is gonna sound like that, which is really annoying because This Is America was a pretty damn good song.
yeah. I think that's the thing. I think that is one of the only songs, well, one of the few songs in his later stage in his Childish Gambino career that
Yeah,
links to his beginnings in terms of albums. So like Freaks and Geeks is it's not similar to This Is America, but the style of it kind of is like it like um Awaken My Love is it. I need to turn off. You know, I'm gonna do that when I'm here. Notifications, just coming through. But
well, to cut you off real quick.
go for it.
This Is America was like one of the few pieces of music I've ever heard, and then been like, this is art, as opposed to like this is a song that's really good.
Yeah,
And that doesn't happen too often with me, where I hear something and I'm like, this is more than music. This is like a statement.
see,
So yeah,
I've had that a couple of times by an artist that I listen to called Joyner Lucas or Jonah Lucas, however you want to say his name.
yeah,
A load of people know him from the song "I'm Not Racist."
yeah. That's
Uh,
the only one I know. I think.
I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I knew him before he was popular, but true story. I saw one. I subscribed to a spoken word poet on YouTube called Sully Breaks, and he appeared in a Joyner Lucas video because I don't know whether they collaborated on the song together. I don't know whether he just wanted him in the video, but it was called I'm Sorry, and it was basically a song that was two halves. The first half was Sully Breaks' part where he was writing a suicide note,
Oh wow.
and then he kills himself. And I keep calling him Joyner because he's got a Y on his name, and I've heard him call himself that, but Jonah just sounds better. But basically, he finds him, and the second half of the song is him at Sully Breaks' funeral explaining how mad he is at him for taking his life, but how mad he is at himself for not being there. And that was the first I'd heard of him. And then I looked back at some of his older music, and there was one that really, really, like, it blew my mind. And I can't pronounce the guy's last name, but it's Ross Cap something. And the story behind him is basically his best friend shot him in the head, and in the chest, because it was a gang initiation. And
Yeah, I think you showed me that video
yeah,
before. You really raved about it.
yeah, because Jonah Lucas, he did the video. For anyone that doesn't know, he did the first half as Ross and the second half as his best friend.
God, he
And
likes his halves, doesn't he?
he does, because he's got some songs out there that are just like, because he can rap really fast. He's a good rapper.
Like me.
Yeah. And he's got some songs out there that are just like words, just words. But
Word soup.
he's got a song where he raps a verse. I think he does a 16 bar, and then does that 16 bar backwards, and it still makes sense.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
he's insane. I love him. He releases songs that have the same effect on me that This Is America had, where because I agree with you, that was a piece of art. That was something out of this world. Like,
Especially paired with the video as well.
with the video and the time it came out, like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But carry on with your week. I keep interrupting.
Oh no, that was a good discussion. I think.
It was good.
So this is something that I was kind of keeping to myself just to see how it like developed.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I'm in like the early stages of a relationship, which is awesome
My
and
guy.
quite funny. With what I was talking about the last podcast
Ah.
about deleting Tinder and not having a man.
So what's his name?
Oh yeah, you know who I'm on about.
I'm pretty sure I know who you're on about.
I'm not going to name him for now, just in case, something goes wrong. But I really can't see that happening.
Aww.
But it's to the extent now, because we've known each other for quite a while. It's not someone I've like recently met or anything. That we are looking at places to move to. So
Huh?
yeah, that's pretty
Really?
pretty mad. Yeah. So basically, it'll be when one, if not both of us, gets a job, and then we can like both chip in. If we can both get a job, perfect. But yeah, basically, when one of us can afford to like pay the rent, then we're gonna move. Obviously, after the whole virus stuff, but
Yeah.
that like came out of nowhere pretty much. It's pretty much happening like the last week. Which makes it perfect for the weekly Teacup. But yeah, how much can change in a week?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like I said, that Charlie didn't know anything about this because we keep it a secret from each other. So yeah, and he will be listening to this as well. So that should be I don't know if it'd be awkward or cool for him, but
Hi Sam's boy.
potential boy.
Potential boy. That's really cool.
But yeah, things are looking good right now. So hopefully, watch this space and all that, and I'll give updates as they come.
If you need a hand with anything in terms of, like, moving out or setting anything up for when you're moving out, like me and Hat have done it. We'll happily give you a hand.
Well, thankfully, there's quite a few places that aren't too far from where I'm at now. It's just the fact that I'll be like living without my mum.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have too much trouble like getting everything moved. But I will be sure to let you know if I need any help.
I mean, like you said, it's like it's in the future that's happening. I mean, me and Hat are still looking for a new place. And because the whole situation that's happening now, estate agents are just closed. They're all working from home. Viewings just aren't happening now. It's
well, I saw on one of the houses, I don't know if like a lot are doing it, but they offer like a virtual tour, basically.
Some places are offering that.
Yeah.
We did get offered that for one place we looked at. Um, it's a hard one because me and Hat have always said like you don't know a place till you go to it and you're in it, because it's the
Yeah,
same with like pictures. Like, I mean, the place we live in now, it did it have
I like it.
thank you, thank you. I can't remember whether it had pictures or not. I'm pretty sure it had pictures, but the pictures didn't do it like justice. Like,
Did it look like small or something? Or
it did. It looked a little small, but it also, it's hard to describe. It looked a bit small, but it also just looked a bit weird.
yeah, I get that.
A bit like, how's the room laid out? I mean, it was taken a while ago because there was a tenant living here before me and Hat, and the pictures had the kitchen as carpeted because we have an open plan kitchen living room situation where me and Hat are, and
Yeah.
the kitchen isn't carpeted. It's got a liner on it, and it's just because the pictures were outdated. So
Oh, okay.
it was kind of like, we then went and we saw like, oh, the kitchen looks like this, the ensuite looks like this, the bathroom looks like this, like, it it's hard to get a feel for some place with just pictures and with
Yeah.
like virtual stuff.
See, what's a really weird coincidence though is that one of the places that we liked the look of and was like in our budget, um, was the same block of flats that my mum used to live in,
Oh really?
and it could potentially even be the same room. So
That's crazy.
that's really strange. So like I showed her like the one we were looking at, and then she was like, "Oh, I used to live in that area," and then it was one of those things where it just like got more and more specific. I used to live on this road. I used to live in this building. So if I live in the same place that my mum used to, that's really odd. Like it's not even a coincidence at that point. It's just scary.
Yeah. I mean, fun facts about this place. It's the road that it comes off of.
Yeah.
So the main road is the same name as the road that my mom and us as a family used to live in our old block of flats.
Wow.
Yeah. Same name.
Jeez. That's mad.
It's not even like street to road or anything. They were both road.
It's in Wild Green, if you're wondering. That
Okay.
place that my mum used to live in.
That's cool.
So not too far.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it's above some like shops and stuff. Actually, it's one of those. But yeah, pretty crazy life update.
That is.
One I never thought I'd bring so soon, but man, house, all in a week, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if I can top myself like ever again in the history of the podcast. With an update that big.
I mean, congratulations, my guy.
Yeah, thanks.
honestly.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
Obviously I'll update you either way. It might be a bit of a sad day when I have to update the podcast if it doesn't go well, but I'll be alright. I'll manage. But
like,
yeah,
it's one of those things where we don't have to bring it up straight away. Like,
yeah, I'll have my time to heal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, good, crazy week.
Crazy.
I don't have any qualms about mentioning this either. Did kind of maybe drop the L word on him. Well, like I said, we've known each other for a while now, so it was just a lot of like pent up stuff as opposed to like moving too quick. If that makes sense.
See, the way that came across was just like, I was waiting for you to be. It was a pent up gentleman. I love you. It's like really angrily.
Well, it started as me being like, I really appreciate you, dude. And then I told him like, that's my way of saying I love you without saying it, basically. Like I even say it to you a lot. And then he was like, oh, I never knew that. And I was like, I love you. So
Whoa.
yeah. We might want to cut that out, by the way, because I know that my little sister's going to want to watch this podcast. So
Don't worry. I'm gonna be censoring the swear words, the naughty words.
But yeah, it should be alright for him to watch. I don't know how they react to the news I just gave that I might be moving, but Yeah.
I'm,
Mental.
if it makes you feel any better, I told my mom that I was moving, and she cried a lot.
Well, mine just she just said like, just be happy, and then I'll be fine. And I was like, oh, thanks, mom.
See, like
Uh,
when me and Hat were planning on moving out, I
yeah.
told my mom like I came home. Me and Hat were both there, and I just said to her, "Oh yeah, we're looking at places. We're looking to move,"
Mhm.
and she was like, "Oh." It took her by shock. It was just kind of like out of the blue. She was like, "Oh, you can't leave yet." Like, but
Well, how do you think mine felt? I didn't even have a job.
yeah.
I'm telling her I'm gonna move.
Eventually, like the same night, she was like, if you need any help, like just let me know, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
then I just remember the night before I moved out, like it was just because I stopped at Hats
Hmm.
that night because it just made more sense because it was easier to go to the estate agents to get the keys from Hats, and it would take less time to get the keys if we stayed at Hats than it would be to stay at my mum's. So I stopped
Yeah.
at Hats. So I said like bye to my mum that night, and she was just in bits.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, she was.
Um, but we should probably move on to the next thing now because we
Yeah.
were on that for pretty
A
much
while.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this podcast might be looking like a long one.
Yeah.
So I think next we were going to cover our thoughts on the first podcast and like how we feel coming off of that and how we feel about like our performance, if you want to call it that.
I mean,
Um,
take it away, bro. Take it away.
so it was really weird to film because, like I said in the podcast, I've like tried it before. But even so, it's like it's just not something I'm like used to. I don't know. It's strange like recording a conversation and hoping people care about it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's my thoughts on like recording it. How about you?
Same. I mean, obviously we both did drama at GCSE and A level when we had our performances filmed. But
Yeah.
I've always said I'm used to being the person behind the camera, not in front of the camera.
Well, you're both kind of. So
Yeah, I mean the thing that does make it easier is like with the whole RTS thing that I'm a part of. We have to do like a video recap every. I'll explain that at a later podcast. But we have to do
yeah.
a video recap each year. So I'm getting more used to sitting down in front of my camera and just speaking. But it is weird like just recording a chat with my friend and hoping people listen. Like
Um. Well, I was watching it back like briefly because, like I said, my younger sisters wanted to watch it, and I was like checking for curse words and stuff. Um, and I noticed a couple things. Firstly, that I really sincerely hate my own voice. Not even for the fact of like it's my voice, it's cringe. I hate it. More for the fact that like I just sound super depressed, and I don't know why. Like even when in my head I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm happy, I'm upbeat, I'm bouncing around. Or when it comes out on the recording, it's just, oh, my name's Sam, I like this and that, and woo, 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 woo. So yeah, I hate it. It's horrible. Second thing is that my dress sense. I feel like I went. I had real poor judgment on that one because I tried to go for like chill clothes, like a kind of chill atmosphere.
yeah.
Um, but I think I just ended up looking super scruffy, so I've kind of like dressed up a bit for this one. Uh,
Yeah. I don't
but
think
yeah,
it looks scruffy.
that's a couple of things I noticed.
For me,
Mhm.
because like to give people some context as well, I'm the one that's like editing the podcast, but
Yeah,
Sam like still has a big say
yeah,
in what
I
happens.
do my own things behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
But Sam was obviously here over the weekend when I was editing it.
Mhm.
So obviously, going back to what I was saying, editing it like lets me see a lot more of what's going on and pick up on a lot more things. My first thing was again dress sense. I mentioned it in the podcast, wearing like a black t-shirt against a black headboard. Today, today I've gone for red, but now it just looks like my hair is blending into the background. Um, but yeah, I think
Um,
the biggest thing for me was audio, and because obviously this is a podcast, it's meant to primarily be audio. I'm still worried right now about my microphone because I'm just using the little microphone on my headphones for the wire, and there was a lot of clicks, and that was my microphone hitting against my necklace, I'm pretty sure. And I've kind of been trying to watch it and monitor it and make sure it hasn't, but I don't know whether it's just an internal thing in the microphone because it is a fair few years old now. But that's why I've got my backup audio of my camera. It might not be the best, but hopefully I can edit it a little bit more. But yeah,
Speaking of things that I do, I'm just going to put something on the Instagram actually, just like a little story to tell everyone that we're filming.
Go
and
for
to,
it.
like, get ready.
Go for it.
So yeah,
Uh,
ignore me cutting you off.
One thing that I've noticed, and I've noticed it a lot in this podcast, is I look down. I look down a lot. I keep looking at my phone or looking at my laptop. And it's because I'm so used to look. Well, I say I'm so used. I was a lot more used to looking at the laptop, looking into the camera of that when we were recording last time, as opposed to looking straight in front of me at the big old DSLR. but but yeah. Overall, personally, I think the first podcast went pretty damn well. Like, I was happy with it.
Yeah, see, I was having worries that we just not have anything to talk about in this podcast,
Yeah.
and that we couldn't top the first one, which is pretty crazy to say because the first anything's like usually the worst. So to worry about not being able to top the first one is a pretty scary thought. So yeah, that wasn't great. That wasn't fun to think, but we seem to be doing fine. I'd like to say.
I like to think so. I think the thing that, how to describe, when a person starts YouTube, like, everyone's always like, oh, you're doing it to try and get, like, famous on YouTube and to not have a job and to get 1 million subscribers and stuff like that. When people start, like, for me, for, like, my photography Instagram, everyone's like, oh, that's a bit cliched, or, you know, you're just trying to get, like, 1,000 likes on Instagram and, like, millions of followers. No, I'm not. I do it as a hobby and as a place to display my work. This, I know it's the same for you, but I'm going to say, like, same old, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not doing this to, like, get famous on YouTube or to have a podcast with 1 million subscribers or 1 million listeners or whatever. Like, don't get me wrong, that would be great. Please subscribe and listen to the podcast. But follow the Instagram as well. At Storm in a Teacup podcast.
Yeah. So kind of bouncing off what you're saying. It's just fun to record, and like if it becomes successful, because of what we're uploading, then that's great. But it's only really like a byproduct of uploading.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of gaining experience. Holly's doing his editing. I know he's done a lot of editing before, but more experience can't hurt.
I'm just saying, to broadcast credits as assistant editor on the TV.
Ooh, show off.
My claim to fame.
And yeah, we're both getting more comfortable being on camera, and that's something else I was going to say, that I feel a lot more like natural in this episode than I was in the first episode. Just because I've got a little bit of experience under my belt now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the same for you or not, but that's definitely what I'm feeling.
It is. It's the same for me. It's very similar for me. I think generally just like having you to speak to helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like, like I've mentioned in the previous podcast, me and Sam can speak for ages. Like,
Now they're just recorded.
Exactly. Like, but it's just. Sorry, I've got. I don't know whether I've got indigestion or whatever, but like.
Wow.
Say that again.
Wow.
Wow, like, of all the things to have when you're doing a podcast, but like, having someone to bounce off of makes life so much easier for the podcast. Like, I couldn't do this with someone that I couldn't talk to for ages. You know what I mean? Someone that's giving like dead answers, dead replies. Yeah. Like, but I feel like we bounce off each other, and it makes this. I think that's why I always like end up looking at my laptop rather than the camera, or just looking around the room or looking at my phone, because I do just feel like this is just a conversation over Skype, like how it usually is.
That's the thing about how natural it does feel, that you sometimes forget you're even being recorded.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, kind of going off what you said again. I was genuinely trying to think of like people who I might be more suited for making a podcast with. I don't think there is anyone.
Oh, Sam.
No,
Oh.
I mean it like our conversations like super natural,
Mm.
and whatever we talk about, the other person just kind of knows how to add something to it and like build on top of it, and then hopefully that means that our conversations have like substance and all that to them.
Yeah.
But time will tell what the audience has to say about that.
Yeah.
Which should take us into the next thing. But first, we do have a bunch of social media accounts and stuff for the podcast.
Yeah.
But if you've got this far and you've not subscribed already, then I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because we're nearly an hour in now, so hopefully that if you've gotten this far, that means you enjoy it. So give us give us a subscribe if you feel like it. So yeah, we do have social medias, and the DMs are open and everything. So if you've got questions or just want to say hi, we've got Storm in a Teacup podcast on Instagram. We've got SIAT Pod on Twitter. We have a personal Instagram and Twitter account. So my Instagram is Sam Trahan Official, and my Twitter is @symbol and then AT Sam Trahan, because I'm quirky like that. I need at Sam Trahan. Then Charlie, what's yours?
Well, I have two Instagrams, as I mentioned. My personal is @CharlieMCM20, and my visuals account, which I highly recommend you follow because it is full of inspirational pictures that I have taken myself, is @VisualsByCharlie. And my Twitter, I don't really use Twitter, to be honest.
Neither do I, but
you know,
just put it out there.
plug the thing @Charlie_MCM. And I have a funny story to tell about Twitter, and I don't know whether to tell it now or tell it in another podcast.
First, do you know what the SoundCloud like name is?
I'm pretty sure it is Storm in a Teacup podcast, and I will triple check.
Well, after he checks that should be everything you can find us on. I really can't think of anything else we've made, and I'm pretty much the person that's like dealing with the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm running it through Charlie first, but that's kind of like my job. And Charlie's got all the editing and stuff, and then we kind of work together on like the pre-production stuff. So like what we're going to talk about. So it's like partially scripted. We know the subjects we're going to talk about, but not what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you know if that's the name of the SoundCloud, Charles?
I am checking new. I do believe that is what it is, but
Even if it's wrong, we can just kind of like correct it in the description, because we will leave it there as well, just in case that was all too much for you to follow, because it was quite a few accounts. But I think, Charlie, that you have some like audience questions, some viewer questions us.
I do indeed.
Brilliant! I'm excited. Again, I don't know any of these, so this is all like completely candid for me, off the cuff.
I'm gonna have to insert the name of the SoundCloud underneath because it's not showing up on my SoundCloud, but I'm pretty sure it is Storm in a Teacup podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure you got it right.
Okay. Questions, yes. Quick note for people: if you'd like to send in questions, please follow them through in the DMs of the accounts, like
or in the comments under the video.
Or in the comments on the video, like
Yeah, you can tweet us questions, but I know that not everyone really like wants that stuff on their feed, which is perfectly fine because we're exactly the same. So yeah, if you want to just DM us a question as opposed to like tweeting us, then that's fine too. But yeah, feel free to ask questions if you have them, and then we'll try and answer them in a future episode.
Yeah. So number one, it was, are there any topics you guys are going to get into? So this was basically because when I was explaining to the person in question, they asked like, what's the podcast about? Is it a topical podcast? And when I explained to them what the podcast was about, they said like, is there any topics in particular you're going to cover over the majority of the episodes?
Okay, so I think that's kind of the beauty of this podcast, that we're not like nailed down to one thing. Like if it happens, we talk about it. So we've not like really got a niche per se. So if it is happening in the world and we care about it,
My camera has stopped recording, so I'm just gonna quickly go sort that out again.
Yeah, so if it's happening in the world and we care about it, then we'll talk about it. Because the last thing that we'd want to do is talk about something that we don't care about. Because I feel like, at least, but I'm sure Charlie feels the same, that if we don't care about something, that's really going to show in the podcast, and that's the last thing that we want.
I totally agree. I think our USP, our unique selling point, is the
Yeah,
fact that I, I don't want to say we don't have a unique selling point, but we don't have a specific reason as to why people would like to listen to the podcast in terms of topics. Like
yeah,
we will speak about anything and everything. Like me and Sam had a discussion about whether we're going to be covering like topics, and what we've both agreed on is if something happens in the news that impacts us, we'll talk about it. Or if something happens in the news that we want to talk about, we'll talk about it. But
yeah.
if something happens and it's breaking news, but we just do not care about it, we might bring it up in the, like, last week this happened sort of segment, like, oh yeah, so and so this movie's come out, or this is happening in the weather, but it's not something we're going to talk about in depth.
I mean, that's basically what we've done in this podcast with the Childish Gambino episode. We've
exactly.
spoken about a media product that's come out.
Yeah, exactly. Because both me and Sam care about Gambino's music and care about music in general.
Yeah,
But
I couldn't put it better.
if it's like, if an artist, like, I don't know, I'm not a massive fan of Taylor Swift. If she releases an album and it goes like out of this world, that doesn't mean we're gonna cover it just because it's in the news. Like, well done to her, but that's not what we're gonna talk about. We don't like it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
sec-
well said. I couldn't have said it better.
Thank you. Second question is kind of like two questions in one. Um, who would be
Wait, just to cut you off real quick. We have 10 questions, right?
10 questions? Yeah,
Just so the audience knows
Yeah.
how many to expect.
it is 10 questions, but this one's a bit of a cheesy one. They are
And
kind.
like we said, there are, we are welcoming more questions
Yeah.
as well. So,
Bring them in. Bring them in. We like talking, so we like answering questions.
yeah, give me questions.
It's something nice, to be fair. I enjoy answering questions if I know how to answer them.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Who would be your dream guest, and are you having / wanting guests on the podcast? If you don't mind, I like to go first.
Yeah, I
also.
really do want you to go first because I have no idea.
Dream guest, and I'm not limiting it. I'm gonna be dead or alive, and you know exactly who I'm gonna say. Kobe Bean Bryant.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anyone that you really care more about than Kobe.
That man, honestly, this is the thing. The reason I'd want him to be my dream guest is because there's so much more to him than just basketball. Like,
Yeah.
that
The man's got an Oscar.
he's got an Oscar. He's got books. He's got basketball. He's got the fact he grew up in Italy when he was younger.
I'm sure he had a podcast of his own as well.
I wouldn't put it past him. He
I,
was.
I think, if I'm not wrong, that he had a podcast that was like directed towards kids, and he wanted to like inspire them. So that's how great of a guy Kobe was and is. So,
But Kobe Bryant is the person that I would love to have on the podcast. And are we looking for guests? Of course we're looking for guests. I would love to have a guest on the podcast. I've already said to Hat that she will most likely be guesting on the podcast, which she was thrilled about. But I'd love to have a guest. But I'm gonna lead it over to Sam. Go for it, bro.
so just to give myself time to think about who my dream guest would be, I'm gonna elaborate a bit more on that. If you've got a story or something about you that you can tell, you're welcome. Basically, as long as you care about it, that's what we care about. Because we just want to get as many stories and perspectives as possible. We want to learn about you. We want to learn about the things you've been through, and the things you have to say, basically.
Yeah.
So even if that's like a full episode that you're a guest of, or just I don't know if we say like phone in, but if you like phone in, and just talk for a minute or two, that's fine as well. Just as long as you have something to say, you're welcome.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's kind of like guests right now are a bit difficult with obviously the circumstances that we're in terms of social distancing. Me personally, I would prefer to have guests when we're allowed to be around people and not be 2 meters apart. But
Mm.
obviously, that's uncertain in terms of when that can happen. But of course, we're looking for guests, and of course, we're looking for people to speak with. And like Sam said, if you got a story and you want it to be heard, let us know. Dream guest, dream guest, my guy.
I'm really struggling, you know. Um, who is my dream guest? Um, you know what? We've spoken about him already this podcast a few times now,
Yeah,
but I feel like someone like a Donald Glover
yeah.
is just super fascinating to get on, kind of for the same reason that you'd want Kobe.
To be
Just
fair,
because he's so much more than just one thing. He's a Swiss Army knife of a man. He's got his music, he's got his TV, he's got his comedy, he's got his screenwriting, he's got his acting. It's endless, pretty much. And people
he
like
is
that fascinate me.
he is someone I'd love to speak to. He was very much up there in terms of my dream guest. Like, I'd study that man. Like, honestly, he is, he's just like you said. He's a Swiss Army. Like, there's nothing he can't do. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing he can't do.
And that one of the best parts is that he's just a big nerd at heart, even though he is like super successful. I'm pretty sure he doesn't do it as much now, but the guy used to wear like cardigans and stuff,
Yeah,
uh, just because that's how, you know, how chill and relaxed he was. So yeah, just someone that isn't one thing is
yeah.
my dream guest. Someone that has a lot to tell
Someone
and a
who's
lot
got
that we can learn,
layers. If they've got layers, they're welcome.
like Shrek.
Exactly like Shrek.
Wait, I'm going to change my answer. I want to say Shrek. Shrek is our dream guest.
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
So question 3.
Question 3. How do you guys film the podcast? This is something we've briefly gone over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's just a case of we load up a Skype call. We take about 45 minutes to actually nail everything down because we're always doing something. Sam is brushing his hair. I'm making another coffee.
I literally put face cream on earlier. So.
But yeah, we load up the Skype call. I set up an audio recorder on my laptop. I now have my camera for visuals. And Sam, what do you do?
So the way we did it in the first podcast, and it's pretty much the way we've done it now,
Yeah.
except you having an improved camera,
Yeah.
is that we go into a Skype call and then we just kind of individually record our camera footage and our audio, and then I send those over to Charlie, and he does his magic, puts them up on the Sunday, and we normally try to have a little bit of hype for the podcast, so I'll post it today because we're filming, and I'll probably post tomorrow, and then on the Sunday I'll probably say 6 p.m. today, for example, new podcast episode, and we'll have like a little promo. But yeah, like I said before, we like partially script it, so we know what we're gonna talk about, but not what we're gonna say.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it really. Then we just kind of talk and upload it.
Fourth question again is something that was basically covered in the first question. Why are you guys talking about yourself instead of being topic specific?
Rude.
I know the person who asked it me didn't mean it like that. They were literally they were curious because he is an avid podcast listener and he has like loads of podcasts on the go. And I broke it down because I said we want to offer a podcast, which means that you don't have to have so many podcasts on the go, because I'm still Hatch just walked in. What's up? We will be done shortly because I am getting hungry. But yeah, we're going through questions. Then we're gonna do a little outro and then we're done. No, an hour and 10 minutes. This one has gone on for.
So far.
Yeah. Say that again. I'll be in a sec. I promise. It's fine. I'll see you in a bit. Take out. I'm fat, bro.
No, but having facts 25p cakes.
I
are
told Sam about the 25p gato.
best cake. Not as good as the farmhouse cakes, but
Oh yeah,
still.
the Hawaiian cake.
What is this conversation?
So,
So being fat for that's gone on 2 more days.
okay,
Friday, Monday.
till Monday. Okay. Um.
So yeah, what I said earlier is that like we want to talk about stuff that we care about, and with at the risk of sounding egotistical, we care about ourselves and
Yeah.
each other. So we want to hear about each other's lives. So
I'm just putting
hopefully you do.
I'm just putting this out there. Like, we are, I like to think, pretty relatable people. Like, and a lot of the stuff that is happening in today's world impacts us. So, of
Yeah.
course, we're going to you always relate stuff back to yourself. And this is what I was saying to the guy. Like I said, he has multiple podcasts for multiple things. He does, he's got one where it looks at sports. He's got one where it looks at TV shows. He's got one where it looks at this and that. And I was just like, but what me and Sam do is we pick what we care about, which involves TV shows and social media and the weather, and we bring it all into one podcast.
Everything.
And he was like, he was like, that's really clever. I think. Oh, sorry, I had an itch and I'm worried about my microphone. I think the thing with him is he does like having that stability of being able to listen to just an hour or an hour and a half of just one topic, you know what I mean? He likes to have his because he's really, really into rugby, so he has a podcast where he listens to stuff about rugby. He just wants to sit and listen to rugby for an hour and a half, not a little bit about rugby, then a little bit about Childish Gambino. But he did say that he enjoyed the podcast, which I was very happy with, and he said he will be listening again.
That's great. Hello. Welcome back.
Fifth question: are you only going to drink tea? No, we both had coffee today.
On our coffee last time, so I've actually
Yeah,
never drank tea. So
that's it. You had coffee last time. I have tea and water. Tea and water, coffee and water. Yeah.
Wait, did you have tea last time? You didn't have any drink last time, did you?
I had water last time. And I had water last time.
Oh yeah, so we've never had tea. So
No.
I mean, we have tea, but not that kind. And I hate saying tea like that, but it's kind of our brand now, so we have to.
This person, they asked the question purposely because they know that we don't listen to a lot of podcasts. What podcast would you guys go on?
Ooh, just because I'm basic, I feel like the obvious answer is Joe Rogan. Just because it's the most popular podcast. But like us, Joe likes to have a lot of different people on with different perspectives, and that's something that, like I said, we want to aim for. And that we provide ourselves, we provide different stories, different things to tell. So yeah, I feel like I'd hope that we have a story that Joe's audience and stuff would want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably the same. If I had to pick something else, the only other podcast that I've really listened / viewed is Mini Minter's What's Good podcast. Just some clips from there. The True Geordie's podcast when that was a thing, but True Geordie really annoys me.
Speaking of clips,
Yeah.
I know we're quite far in, so anyone that wants clips probably isn't listening now. But we do know that like an hour or an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half, however long this is going to end up being, that is quite a lot for some people, whether you just don't want to sit and listen to something for an hour, or if you want to watch other stuff. We are interested in uploading clips and stuff just so it's a bit more digestible.
Yeah, definitely.
And not as full on and as long as the full version.
Yeah.
So like highlights basically.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down to do that.
Yeah.
Gonna be a pain to edit.
But yeah.
Brings me on to my next question. Actually, what I just said. What is the hardest part about filming a podcast? I'll let you go first for this one.
I think it's kind of what I mentioned earlier about just seeming natural. Because something else that we wouldn't want is to seem like we're just talking because we have a podcast, as opposed to talking because we're friends and want to talk. So yeah, not wanting to appear like staged or scripted. That's probably the hardest part. Appearing natural and like we're not being recorded.
I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I think the hardest part is making sure that we're staying true to the podcast. You know what I mean? Like there are going to be times where me and Sam are going to get ready to record a podcast, and nothing's happened in the world that we can talk about. Like, and that's why we have the last week this happened segment, because as you can see from today's episode, I'll mention something and Sam will start talking about it, or Sam will mention something and we'll start talking about it, like Childish Gambino. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there will be episodes where it won't be something's happened in the world and we're going to cover that. There'll be episodes where we will just be like, so this happened last week, and we just talk about that. You know what I mean?
So yeah, piggybacking off of that, like I said earlier, I was worried that we'd like have nothing to talk about. But this has been the longest one so far, probably the longest one for a while.
Yeah.
So, clearly that problem is just a non-problem.
Only other hard part is editing right now because we're not together, so syncing up audio.
Yeah, see that's the annoying thing about the Peroni Flu, the Budweiser bug. Is that what we did hope to be like in the same room just to up the production value and make it easier to edit and everything sooner.
Yeah.
But because of being told to stay at home and everything, that's not really an option for us right now.
Nope. We'll get there though.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks, but obviously there's a good reason for it, so we can't get too angry about it.
Yeah. Next question is because I slipped up in the last podcast and said Spotify instead of SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Are we going to go onto Spotify or Apple Music or /iTunes?
I'm not sure of the terminology, but I looked into it, so I should probably be the one to like talk about this.
Go for it.
But we did look into getting it on Spotify, and to get your podcast on Spotify, you need some kind of
RSS feed.
I didn't even understand it at the time. You need an RSS feed, which is like a whole website. Because Spotify doesn't host podcasts; they just take it from one website and put it on there. So that we'd need to sort out the first step of getting the RSS feed and stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, neither do I. So that's why it's a problem right now.
I know a little bit about it, just purely doing media and stuff like that. Like I knew a little bit about what an RSS feed was, purely because I'm inquisitive. It's a better word than nosy. I'm inquisitive, and the logo for an RSS feed was on our media blogs that we had when we were in sixth form, and I looked into what it was, and I kind of had a brief idea about what it is, and it's basically so viewers of the podcast and viewers of other podcasts can get instant updates. That's what an RSS feed basically helps with, essentially. There's other stuff, but and that's why I think possibly looking into iTunes, because iTunes does host like podcasts rather than ripping it from another website. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I think right now we're going to stay on YouTube and SoundCloud, build up an audience, make sure you guys actually want to listen to us, and then move from there. And obviously you guys will be kept up to date, like as and when things happen. If we move over to iTunes or Spotify, you guys will be the first to know.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to mention. We won't delay in updating you as soon as we're on Spotify, as soon as we're on iTunes.
Yeah.
You'll know when we do. We'll probably post about it
exactly
before we even talk about it on the podcast. So
this is a good question. I am so happy they brought this up.
Okay.
What was Sam's last podcast?
Oh,
Because
okay.
you mentioned it in the last podcast that this wasn't your first time doing this. You mentioned it in this podcast as well.
It's like unlisted now, so you
Yeah.
can only watch it if you have a link. No, I'm not giving the link out.
So
But
I don't have the link. I was gonna say I'm gonna insert it just on the screen.
it was called Some Effing Morons.
Thank you for the censor.
Yeah, you're welcome. I saved your job.
Mm.
So the SFM was the initials of the people on the podcast. I was the F. Someone else was the F. I was the S. Someone else was the F, and someone else was the M. But the problem with that podcast is kind of the problem that we mentioned earlier, and it was we were talking on a podcast because we were doing a podcast,
Yeah.
and we were talking about things that we didn't care about too much, and that didn't help the quality. It was also like 3 years ago, and I've grown a lot confidence wise. This podcast is better than the first Storm in a Teacup we did. So yeah, if the first Storm in a Teacup podcast was worse than this one, then imagine something worse than the first Storm in a Teacup podcast, and that's basically what you get with my old podcast. But it was fun. It was a fun thing to do, but
Yeah.
not something that should have been continued, and I'm thankful that it wasn't.
The final question came from one of my friends.
Is that 10 already?
Yep.
Wow.
Came from one of my friends that is a radio specialist at uni. Have either of you ever considered doing radio? I know why he asked me this, and it was because
He wants to get you on his course.
I mean, he did ask, because in second year he was doing some stuff with radio, and he asked if I could maybe be one of the guests, if he couldn't get one of his guests in, just as like a backup, and I said,
Yep.
yeah, of course. Radio's always interested me. It was something that I was looking to do at uni, in terms of my course. Instead of doing photography, I was thinking about doing like TV and radio, but I just stuck with TV and photography. Radio's cool. Like, it is a cool thing. I enjoy listening to the radio as and when I can. I listen to it a fair bit more now that I've got that speaker in the living room, just because I can put the radio straight onto that. But it's the presenters in the radio, on the radio shows, which make me listen. Like, I don't want to listen to the same song over and over and over and over and over again throughout the whole day, because radio is so repetitive. But I just love hearing the presenters and interaction, or hearing new things on the radio. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to do radio. I think it's really, really cool. But my podcast is for me. I love my podcast, my little baby, and I love sharing it with its other birth father, Sam. So yeah.
I am the dead.
Yeah.
So pretty much the same answer here. I've become a huge fan of music in the last few years, and I feel like a career in talking to people and playing music is one that I'm really interested in. The problem is that I don't know quite enough about it.
Yeah.
To start considering like a career in it. But I don't want to speak this into existence or anything, but I'm doing it. But I think if we ended up on the radio, that'd be super, super cool.
That would
and
be
obviously
cool.
This is all live as well, so that's something that we're capable of doing. And a live episode is actually something that we've spoken about doing.
We have, yeah. I brought up to Sam maybe a special episode in terms of like hitting a milestone in terms of subscribers, hitting a milestone in terms of the amount of videos we've done. Maybe just hosting a live episode on YouTube. It would be cool.
What's awesome about that as well is that if it's on YouTube, then we can answer questions as they come in.
That's it. What I was gonna say. Like, you as an audience can ask questions as soon as it's happening. If we bring up something that you want more clarification on, buzz through the question.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if we go off on a tangent as well, then you can stop us talking.
You can tell us off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is all 10 questions, and I believe that is it for today.
Yeah, no. That's everything covered.
Yeah,
That was fun.
it was fun.
Answering questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we said before, really interested in answering more questions. So if you have any, bring them our way.
Yeah.
DM us, put it in the comments, anything. But yeah, no, that was great.
And as well, don't think you have to limit it to one question per person. If you've got a list
Oh,
of
yeah,
questions, just send them through. Honestly, we're happy to answer.
And the great thing about that as well is that we're in like such an infancy of this podcast that if you send more questions, pretty much all of them are likely to be answered.
Yeah.
So we're not going to like cherry pick, as long as they're like appropriate. But I can't really think of any questions that anyone would want to send that aren't appropriate.
As well,
But
if
I
you
guess I'm too innocent.
if you ask something that's already been covered in the podcast or in a previous episode or in that episode, we'll still answer it. You know,
Yeah.
we don't mind repeating ourselves.
Yeah, no, we talk too much anyway.
excuse me.
So.
We do, but I do believe that is it for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you've made
Thank you.
If you've made it this far in almost an hour and a half, congratulations, you deserve a medal. But yeah, tune in next week again.
Yeah, no, this was a really long one. So, like Charlie said, thanks for coming along. Tune in next week. Episodes every Sunday. Follow us on our socials. All of them are in the description.
I was gonna say every single link you need is in the description. So yeah, just go for it. Go ham. Go crazy. Go
DM us questions. Give us a follow. If you've got an interesting story to tell, you can even talk to one of us about being a guest. But I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been a good one.
And please, people, stay safe in these present times. Just stay safe. This is one of the reasons we've made this podcast, so people have something entertaining to do / listen to while they're stuck indoors or in their garden. Just stay safe. Don't go out. Just listen to us talk.
That is something I'm really glad you reminded me of, actually. So first of all, I know Charlie would say the same thing, but thanks to everyone that is working right now. So the NHS workers or the store workers, anyone else,
my carers. Shout out to Harriet.
I shout out to anyone that is working during this time. Even if you're working from home, you're still doing your bit. As well, I know people are kind of sick of hearing this, but nobody would be saying it if it wasn't important. But I'm going to sound like a broken record now. Do please practice social distancing.
Yep.
Because, like Charlie said, there are people that are more vulnerable, and it's not safe for any one of them to get the disease. Also, I heard about in the news, actually, this is something I was thinking about bringing up. On Wednesday, there was a girl who was 21, my age, who had no underlying health conditions and still passed away. So, I don't want to say that, like, made it, like, more scary for me, because that sounds like I wasn't really concerned about it before.
But it hit home.
Not even that. It just shows now that we didn't, like we still don't fully understand it, and that makes it a whole lot scarier. And the fact that people like me who thought we could get it, be ill for a week or two, and then go on about our lives, that's not necessarily the case. Which is all the more reason to follow all the steps. Like I said, practice social distancing, wash your hands. People are saying 20 seconds, but I'd wash my hands after touching anything, to be honest. Another one being said is to cough or sneeze into your elbow instead of your hand when you need to do any of that. And I think that is everything important. Yeah. But like I said, thank you to everyone that's still doing their work. Please be safe. Please be responsible at this time. And I think it's a goodbye from me and Charlie.
Yeah, so again, see you next week. Hope you have a good week, and I hope to have you as viewers again next Sunday. So yeah.
We will speak to you whenever.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye.